Hello, I'm Dr. Mary Lucero. I'm a systems biologist and a founding member of the Extension team. At the Extension team, we work with people from all walks of life who are interested in growing or eating better food, enjoying better health and nutrition, and embracing better living. Today, I want to talk about some of the things we're doing in children's sports, youth sports, that may not be serving the best interests of our youth. We enter our kids in sports at an early age because we want them to be strong and physically fit. But watching my own kids compete in t-ball, soccer, basketball, cross-country, and shooting sports, I came to the conclusion that children's competitive sports are totally out of hand. We've lost focus. The way we go about competing is making our children sicker, weaker, and more mentally unstable. This was really unfortunate to me because the whole reason I entered my kids in sports was to give them the opportunity I never had to get strong and physically fit and build that good team spirit and that sportsmanship value that I thought would give them a better edge as they started on their careers. Now, for the record, I just want to state that the best sports experience either of my own children had was actually through a Youth Hunter Education Challenge. That was the only sport where the majority of coaches, parents, and teammates we found ourselves surrounded with seemed as interested in the child and his or her values as they were in winning the competition. While that's not the main point of this discussion today, I did want to include that plug because I'm hearing so many people who are afraid of guns and discounting the value of shooting sports, and yet the outdoors experience, the bonding my kids had with adults and children of all ages, and the overall experience was really the best sports experience we had with them. Now, we did have some great coaches in other sports and some great experiences, but it was all mixed up with a lot of negativity. So getting back to the point, I think we're pushing them too hard and we're feeding them poorly in order to have time to do this. Now, I know hard work makes all of us strong. We want our kids to be pushed a little bit. We want to challenge them. We want them to challenge themselves. But we need to keep things in balance. And when we're pushing our kids to excel in sports with long workouts while we're feeding them a lot of sugary snacks, dining on processed snacks and fast foods, feeding them foods that have been sprayed with pesticides, and relying on nutrient-depleted sports drinks to rehydrate them, we're simply making really bad choices. From the time our kids are entering the Pee-wee leagues, we find them bombarded with sugary snacks, processed foods. These are usually gifted by well-meaning soccer moms and dads who are more concerned with convenience, packaging, and flavor, and the flavor often referring to how sweet the food is, than with what nutrients are being expended on the field. And this is unfortunate because I've been in that arena of knowing how busy we are when we're trying to juggle our careers with raising our kids and giving them these sports experiences. It's hard to find time to prepare good meals. But looking back at the mistakes I made and at the mistakes I see other parents making, I think we need to reconsider the balance. If we're practicing 4 days a week, maybe it's wiser to reduce the practices to 1 practice and 1 game a week and devote that extra time to preparing healthy meals, giving your kids good food choices, and making sure that they're growing and developing properly. Really, 30 years from now, how will you really feel about the time and the money and the investment you've made in your child's sports if you find that your kid actually made it to the varsity team in high school, that got that college scholarship, and then they dropped out of sports or even college their freshman year because they were so worn out, burnt out, depressed, and busy nursing fractures that they simply couldn't perform anymore. This happens more often than I think most of us want to admit. I've seen a lot of super athletes in high school not perform when they get to college or when they start their careers. Again, I'm not trying to say sports are bad, but let's keep them in perspective And when we push our kids harder, let's keep in mind that the more you push them, the better fuel they need. They need better food, and they need better nutrition. We need to stop exploiting our kids with long practices, grueling tournaments, cheap fast food, and nutrient-free beverages. If the sports organizations in your community are not working to keep your kids healthy, it's also helpful to remember you really do have choices. There are ways to keep kids fit and healthy that don't even involve sports at all. So let's focus on hydration, because we know when kids are running and jumping and working out in the hot sun, they sweat and they lose water and they become dehydrated. So it's important to consider what you're rehydrating them with. The more progressive parents avoid the sugary sports drinks and they give kids purified bottled water to drink. After all, we know city water has far too much chlorine and other unwanted substances to really be healthy for daily drinking, and we know our kids shouldn't have too much sugar. So we bring bottles of purified filtered water and we expect that to replenish the calcium, the iron, the magnesium, the manganese, the phosphorus, potassium, sodium, zinc, copper, nickel, B vitamins, C vitamins, amino acids, and other substances that are lost from their cells in every drop of sweat. Now this just doesn't make sense. How can you replace all that with a glass of water? So when a child gets dizzy and slows down in the field, Dad screams because the kid's acting like a wuss, and Mom shouts out, "Come on, honey, don't quit now, you've got this." But not even the athletic trainers are thinking to get out there and offer the poor child a beverage rich in vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients. When you consider the loss of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that impacts every aspect of physical strength, mental toughness, decision-making, and eye-hand coordination, it would seem logical that parents would fight for better options for their kids. But those parents who have fought this fight find resistance coming at them from every angle. Other parents are handing out highly addictive sweets. The kids flock like geese to get the free sugar. Coaches argue that it takes too long to eat oranges and melons. Janitors complain that the juice drips on the floor. And most of all, parents themselves argue that healthy whole foods cost too much and take too long to prepare. Now, logic tells us that broken bones cost more than mineral-enriched sports drinks, like the Rebound available from members of the extension team. But too often, parents don't pay the full price of their children's injuries. Insurance companies or benefit programs pay the costs. Parents will put their children at risk of sprains, breaks, fractures. They'll yell at them for poor performance. They'll rehydrate them with fluids that actually enhance the loss of nutrients, rather than paying the price for a balanced beverage that truly puts back the minerals the kid's losing and truly replenishes the child's ability to perform. These parents and grandparents will watch the games with enthusiasm as they rub their own aching backs and knees, aches that stem from weaknesses that were induced by their own bad diets, and they'll scoff at the idea of change. "Well, I drank such and such aid when I was a kid, and look how good I turned out. Yeah, sure, my back hurts. Yeah, sure, I'm fat now. But hey, I made the varsity team when I was their age. And by the way, would you mind picking up little Johnny after the game? I've got to take Susie to see about her knee replacement." This is what we're surrounding ourselves with, people who simply cannot make the connection between the way they're feeding themselves, the way they're depleting their nutrients, and the way their health and performance are progressing. Now, you'd think the coaches, especially when you get to high school and you've got professionally trained coaches, you'd think they would do a better job. But the fact is, school coaches are under extreme pressure to train the best athletes at any cost. While many of the university physical education and athletic training programs that train our coaches require introductory courses in nutrition, Few of them go into nutrition at any deep level. And few introductory nutrition programs focus on the basic mineral nutrients, where they come from, and how the pesticides and chemicals used in the food industry are impacting nutrient availability in our food. Few introductory nutrition courses are teaching students that broccoli is only rich in iron if it grew in iron-rich soils and was handled and processed in ways that preserve its nutritional content. Physical education programs also tend to accept large sponsorships from companies that are selling snacks and beverages that are low in nutrients and high in return on investment. When the entire department is papered with signs, logos, and free paraphernalia from a company that sells high-sugar, low-nutrient sports drinks, the learners, including the PE teachers and the coaches, or the future PE teachers and coaches who are studying in these colleges, are really getting a mixed message. They see the company supporting their interest in sports, and they absorb the subliminal message that these drinks are good for athletes. They're absorbing and transmitting the wrong message. Now you know it's gone too far when you start seeing young people with severe injuries or even heart problems. Several months ago, I was presenting a lecture on nutrition. I began talking about the minerals that are lost when we sweat and comparing those minerals to the minerals in a typical sports drink. I explained that low levels of one or more of a number of mineral nutrients can cause muscle spasm, confusion, cramps, nausea, vomiting, fractured bones, and even heart failure. When I was done speaking, a really good-looking young 19-year-old kid approached me. He was tall, he had the body of an athlete. He looked like a kid with a great future in his hands. He told me he used to play soccer on a traveling team. He played in Mexico, he played in the United States. He had high hopes of making the Olympics. But after he had had 2 heart attacks, he had to change his goals. Now, he ate a lot of whole foods, he ate lots of fresh vegetables, but on the field, he was drinking bottled water and popular sports drinks. He kept a grueling training schedule. He routinely sweat out calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, sodium, iron, zinc, and other minerals that his cells need to function. But all he replaced this with was bottled water and the kind of sports drink that contains a little bit of sugar and 1 or 2 electrolytes. This boy was 19 years old. 19! He'd had 2 heart attacks. His sports career was over. Was this necessary? I think our athletes deserve better. And so how can we help these kids out? Well, first of all, any individual, whether they're an athlete or not, who is eating food grown or sold in a country that allows the use of pesticides and synthetic chemicals in agriculture, chemical sanitizers on market produce, and synthetic chemicals in food processing, should be supplementing with the 90 essential nutrients, because all these chemicals in the food system are binding up nutrients and making them harder for your body to absorb. Any country where farmers are growing on soils that have been depleted of nutrients should be supplementing with the 90 essential nutrients, because their food is not being grown with enough nutrition. So this applies to everybody, athletes included. But because athletes are working harder and sweating harder than the rest of us, they may need to go beyond the recommended 90. They need to get their basic needs met, but they also need to replace those nutrients that they're losing when they're working out. One alternative is to drink the Rebound Sports Drink, which is available from any member of our extension team. This drink is rich in plant-derived minerals It's got 120 milligrams of diverse minerals. There's about 77 different minerals in there per serving. And we say there's about because plant-derived minerals are a natural product. The exact concentrations of individual minerals will vary by lot, but this is a very rich mineral mix. It's got vitamins, it's got amino acids, it's got fruit juices and other plant extracts. Rebound goes beyond simple hydration. It actually replenishes the body. Second, you need to work with your athlete to model good eating and provide healthy food. Avoid the temptation to celebrate a win by treating them to greasy fast food and sugar-tainted ice cream. Consider a watermelon bust, an outdoor pit barbecue with an organically fed beef brisket, or maybe a breakfast with farm-fresh eggs. Let your young athlete know that eating healthy and living strong for years to come is even more valuable than winning the next game at the expense of their physical health and spending the rest of their life as a high school has-been. Of course we want our kids to win, but we want them to win for life, not just for the next game. Third, make sure your beverages on and off the field are low in sugar, low in caffeine, low in synthetic chemicals like artificial sweeteners, and rich in minerals. I'm a coffee drinker myself, but believe me, I cut my coffee consumption by about 90% when I realized that the diuretic effect of the coffee was promoting the loss of valuable minerals. I see too many health benefits when I'm replenishing or keeping the minerals inside of me, and I just didn't want the effects of losing those. I recently did a webinar called Trace Mineral Nutrients for Healthy Bodies and Healthy Cells. You can find that on our YouTube channel. It highlights convenient ways to supplement mineral nutrients and replenish trace minerals lost through sweat, wear and tear on the body, or simple attrition. This is the message for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and share. It's my goal to keep providing members and followers of the Extension team with content that helps you grow or select better food, make better choices about health and nutrition, and enjoy a healthier lifestyle. Subscribe to our channel and hear the latest recordings or contact any member of the Extension team at our extensionteam.com to learn more. Have a great day.